Welcome to the show. And let's get back to the news other than Gene Hackman's passing. And joining me now to talk about that, those amazing stories that are also going on in America right now, Eduardo Naret. He's a conservative columnist, a political commentator, and the author of the Naret Files on Substack. And Eduardo, let's start with Elon Musk's defense of the very simple request of all federal workers to send an email and to basically prove that they're working at all. Listen to this.
I think that email perhaps was best interpreted as a performance review, but actually it was a pulse check review. Do you have a pulse? Do you have a pulse and two neurons? So if you have a pulse and two neurons, you can reply to an email. This is, I think not a high bar, is what I'm saying. This is, anyone could accomplish this. But what we are trying to get to the bottom of is we think there are a number of people on the government payroll who are dead, which is probably why they can't respond. And some people who are not real people, like they're literally fictional individuals that are collecting paychecks. Well, somebody's collecting paychecks on a fictional individual. So we're just literally trying to figure out, are these people real? Are they alive? And can they write an email? Which I think is a reasonable expectation for the American public would have at least that expectation of someone in the public sector.
Eduardo, are you as amused as I am by the hysterical response to this email requirement? I mean, critics are acting like this is a human rights violation.
Well, number one, you know what else needs a pulse check? All the dead people on Social Security and Medicare. So I hope Musk gets to the bottom of that too. But this story's amazing, right? I think most Trump supporters knew that Musk was going to be involved in his administration. They both made that very clear before he ran. But even I didn't think Musk was going to be there every single day living in D.C. And I'm happy to see his commitment to this movement, his commitment to cutting waste, fraud, and abuse from the federal government. And so you have him on one hand. Again, Elon Musk doing this for free, sharing his skills, sharing his expertise. And then on the other hand, you have hundreds of thousands of federal workers, many of whom make six figures, many of whom we don't even know what they did last week. They don't even know what they did last week. They can't tell us. And the Democrats are outraged about the former, about a guy who is doing this for free, one of the most skilled individuals in this country, contributing his time and doing this. They are not interested in looking at hundreds of thousands of people who are, in effect, again, if you're not really doing anything, if you're not producing anything for the American people, you are, in effect, stealing from them. It is a Democrat government gravy train, and it's amazing to see that this is where their priorities are. And so what? So he was at the cabinet meeting and he spoke, and that's some sort of crime now? I mean, the Democrats need to get used to this. They lost an election. This is how it's going to be. And so them crying about this for 2 years until the midterms isn't going to get Musk out of there. If they have specific issues that they want to raise about what Musk is doing or about what Trump is doing, they're welcome to make that case to the American people, and they can decide at the midterms. But complaining that he's showing up at a meeting is really showing you how low they've gone and how little they have in their arsenal to stop Trump and message against him.
I mean, honestly, isn't this the core of what humanity is all about? Proving we exist. I email, therefore I exist. One of the reasons why I'm in this business, for better or for worse, there's a very high number of documented things that I do every single day. You don't like this show, that's fine, but I got to document it. I sort of think I exist. My apologies to the Greek philosophers who wouldn't take a video as proof, but I just feel that way. All right, Eduardo, another hysterical reaction that's in motion right now is the response to Homeland Security Chief Kristi Noem's announcement that the Homeland Security Department is launching a database of all the illegal aliens and asking them to register online as well. Now, the pushback on this is that such a process could be seen as intimidating or harassing the illegal aliens. Yeah, that's the point. And isn't this kind of a policy that's a great way to encourage self-deportation without putting anyone, including the illegal aliens, in harm's way, physical harm's way?
You're absolutely right. It should be intimidating. And by the way, it's my understanding that this program is being created from a law that is already on the books, which tells you that Congress wanted such a program many years ago, and no president before Trump thought of doing this. I think it's a great idea. It's a great strategy. Now, do I think millions of illegals are going to come forward and register with the government? No. I mean, that's like thinking, again, that illegals are law-abiding citizens. By definition, these are people who are going to try and skirt the law. But that's okay, because I don't think that's the point of what this program is. I think the Trump administration is creating this program for when they ramp up deportations down the road. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, at a certain point, a lot of, whether it's judicial activist groups, whether it's judges themselves, the left, they're going to try to adjudicate a lot of these deportations in court. It's also going to be in the court of public opinion. And so when that happens, the Trump administration wants to be able to say, look, we gave an opportunity for these people to come forward and register with the government as required by law. They failed to do so, and therefore, by definition, they are in existing breaking our laws. Not just the law that they broke maybe many years ago, maybe 10 years ago by coming over, but they are currently in violation of federal law, and that is one of many reasons why we should send these people home. I think that's what they're doing this for. And then, of course, you talk about the humane aspect of it, which again, you want to be able to do it humanely. And maybe there is a message to a lot of people out there. Look, if you come forward, we will help you return to your home country. This doesn't have to be difficult. But if you refuse to come forward, we have no choice under the law but to make it difficult, and we are not afraid to do so.
All right, Eduardo, now let's get creative. President Trump is proposing a program where people who want to become American citizens, including current illegal aliens, can pay millions of dollars for a so-called golden card to citizenship. You know what, Eduardo? Why the heck not?
Well, honestly, though I appreciate his creativity in trying to pay off the national debt, I think this is a terrible idea. The United States, our country, citizenship to our country is not something that should just be sold off. There are millions of people, my ancestors included, who fought for this country, my ancestors fought in every major war in this country's history up until World War II. And they didn't do that so that some foreigner with money around the world, someone in China, some rich Gulf Arab, could come to this country and buy their way in. They fought for their communities. They fought for the values we have as a nation and for our belief system. And I just think this cheapens it too much. I mean, American citizenship has to mean something. And what this really speaks to is a larger problem with our immigration system right now, which is that too many immigrants who come into this country, and I've seen this firsthand living in Miami, Florida, they see the United States as an economic tool from which to extract value. The only reason they are here versus maybe Europe or China or any other country is because they feel that the United States is the place where they can make the most country. There is no other loyalty. There is no allegiance. They are here to make money. That's it. And I think that's a problem. You don't want an immigration system based off that. Again, citizenship is not something that we should sell off. We should not be cheapening the value of what it means to be an American. And unfortunately, I think that's all that this program would do. Plus, you look at the political implications. The last election was decided in some of these swing states by less than 100,000 votes. So if you bring 1 million, 2 million, 3 million people under this program like Trump is talking about, there are political implications here. There are national security implications. I think most of the people who have the money to do this type of thing, they're going to be rich Latin Americans. They're going to be rich Chinese. They're going to be wealthy Russians, Gulf Arabs. And how do you vet these people? How do you know that they're not coming to the United States for other purposes? How do you prevent a Chinese communist spy from entering on such a program? So I have a lot of issues with it. I'm going to have to see how it's put forward and how it's proposed. But under the way it's currently been described, I am not a supporter of this program.
Well, you know, you make a good point, and I think one of the other points is that I don't know if we've done a good enough job telling our own people what they should be proud of in America other than trying to make a buck. I think that's a job we need to do as well, by the way. Hey, Eduardo, you're a Florida resident, as you just mentioned, so I want to get your reaction to Republican Florida Congressman Byron Donalds announcing that he's running for governor of the state, and he grabbed President Trump's endorsement already. This feels like it could be a game-changing candidacy if Byron Donalds takes this thing and wins it. What are your feelings about this?
Well, it reminds me of DeSantis a couple years ago in the sense that Byron Donalds right now, relatively unknown unless you're a diehard follower of politics in the state of Florida or even nationally. If you know him, it's from a rally or from some of the TV appearances that he has done. And if he wins, any candidate who wins is going to have big shoes to fill in Florida after DeSantis' governorship. I guess I would say, and I'm open right now, I mean, any candidate who jumps in this race could have my vote. I don't lean any which way. We have to see who else is running. But I guess as far as Donalds is concerned, one issue that I have with him politically is he seems to make a lot of decisions based on political expediency. Now, what do I mean by that? A couple of years ago, Ron DeSantis signed into law in the state of Florida an education law that revamped some of the state's education standards involving United States history. And when he did that, the White House, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, everyone on the left, MSNBC, Joy Reid, came out and smeared the state of Florida and Republicans in the state as racist. Now, what did Byron Donalds do? He sided with them. He sided with the left to smear Republicans and voters in his own state as racist for supporting this law. And the inside baseball on why he did that was he did it to score cheap political points against DeSantis because Donalds was supporting Trump in the primary. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with the fact that he supported Trump in the primary. But to me, if you would go that low and do some, take that line of attack that is so despicable, pulling the race card, if you would do that to score a cheap political point in a primary, there's really no other low. I mean, there's no telling what kind of low you would go to score other types of political points. So I have an issue with that. I don't forget that. And then also when you look at some of the other issues across the state, the entire left, the national left has swooped into Florida over the last few years on a number of different issues. When DeSantis was having his fight with Disney, and even this last fall when the abortion and the marijuana amendments were on the ballot, which if passed, would have made Florida one of the most liberal states in the nation in terms of allowing unlimited abortion and basically unlimited weed use. Yes, Donalds came out a couple weeks before the election and said he opposed them, but I don't remember seeing him out there fighting those fights on the front lines, really pushing hard to defeat those efforts. And so, again, what does it tell me? He doesn't really have a history of jumping in and taking a stand on an issue, even when it's seemingly unpopular. Now, could he prove me wrong? Could he be that candidate over the next 2 years as he runs for the seat? Of course he can. And I hope he does prove me wrong. I hope he does prove the people of the state of Florida wrong. But outside of those areas, look, Donalds is a run-of-the-mill MAGA conservative that we've seen these days. And he's a talented guy. And so I think he'll have a pretty successful run. And we'll just have to see what issues he runs on and how he's able to convince the people of Florida from here on out.
Okay, everyone, bottom line, Eduardo Neret's endorsement ain't easy to get, but if you get it, you should be
Not
proud.
yet.
Well done. Good analysis right there. All right, Eduardo Neret, the Neret Files on Substack. Check it out. And thanks so much for joining us. I'm going to give you an early have a good weekend to you.
Thanks so much, Jake. You too.